Hi, hey, hello, how are you doing? My name is Jack Edwards and welcome to my YouTube channel. Exams are beginning to rear their ugly heads once again, and so I thought what better way to not revise for them than to tell you how to revise for yours. First and foremost, you need a good revision plan. Personally, I like to break this down into more manageable chunks because I feel like having one massive revision plan is just way too overwhelming for my little brain to handle. So I start by looking at a particular subject and how long I have between this point right now and the exam. I then think about what I want to achieve in that time and all the different tasks I want to do. So for history, for example, I might want to make flashcards with all the key statistics on that I want to use as examples in my essays, as well as mini essay plans, fact files on the important and influential leaders, and mind maps about all the major events. Then on a Sunday evening, I reserve a little bit of time to make a revision plan for the following week. Personally, I like to do this on Microsoft Excel because it's really easy to color coordinate. You can kind of make a base template and then just edit it each week, which saves time. You can also add a note to each block so you can type in what you want to achieve in each hour. And most importantly, it's really easy to change and edit as you go along. So if your revision plan isn't working for you, change it. You just need to be realistic with yourself. So I know that on a Monday I finish college at 5:15 and I am not going to do any revision for the next hour because I can't be bothered and I'm tired. I then like to make a mini physical to-do list each individual day. I'll write all of the things I want to achieve on that day and then cross them off as I go along. So once you have a revision plan, it's time to crack on with some actual revision. I'm always looking for different ways I can mix my revision up a bit. I find it so boring to just sit at a desk with a notepad and write all day, every day. And for me, websites are really helpful to do that. Firstly, I think BBC Bitesize is absolutely crucial for GCSE revision. I used it always for like base knowledge. If I didn't understand a concept, I'd head straight to BBC Bitesize. They put it into kind of human terms which I could understand, and I found that really useful for, yeah, like the base level of understanding of a subject. Funnily enough, I also happen to have recently hosted a series for BBC Bitesize, which I will link in the top line of the crotch box down below. I'm really proud of it. It's all about revision strategies and exam technique, that kind of thing. So if you're currently studying for exams, which if you're watching this video, I assume you are, then head on over to that link and check it out. More specialist websites that I found really useful were Sam Learning for science subjects, My Maths for maths, obviously, and Duolingo for languages. Finally, my lifesaver website for this year has been Quizlet. Basically, on Quizlet, you just type in all of the information you want to learn, and Quizlet will make loads of different resources for you. So you can revise using flashcards, they can give you half of your answer and then you type the other half in, they make quizzes for you, and there's even games that you can play to help you learn. So no matter what kind of learner you are, Quizlet can kind of cater for that. So you may know if you watch this channel, I am taking a Latin GCSE alongside my A Levels at the moment, which may have been a really stupid idea, time will tell. But anyway, I basically learned all of the vocab for my Latin GCSE using Quizlet. So I made a different study set for each of the letters in the alphabet. For example, Latin vocab A, Latin vocab B, Latin vocab C, and so on and so forth. This made like 20 study sets because not all of the letters have vocab. Over 20 weeks, learn a letter a week. Whenever I get 100% on a study set, I will reward myself with a mini egg or a Mawam pinball, anything like that. I always keep a packet of these in my bag. This packet is empty because I ate them all before filming. It's as simple as that. I also come up with different ways of learning each of the words by associating it with something else. For example, ceteri meaning the rest, I think of etc, so and the rest, or celer, which means quick, so I think of like a piece of celery running really fast. Like, it's that kind of thing. You just have to make links in your head, and whenever they come up, that's immediately what I think of. When it comes to revising subjects with a lot of content, like politics or history, I like to get the textbook and condense it down in my own notes. So I basically read through everything in the textbook, sift through it, and find the crucial bits of information that I think I am going to need. For example, these are my notes from my history textbook, where I've just reduced it down into all of the key bits of information, so like important statistics, important bits of content, and just summarised it into my own words so that I actually understand it. I've done a similar thing for politics, where I've broken each political ideology down into core themes, a glossary, and the key strands. And this just makes everything seem so much more manageable, and I also think because you have to read through everything to sift the information, you have to properly process it. And if you do come across something that you don't understand, then your time will be more valuably spent if you spend some time Googling it or researching it properly so that you actually understand that concept. If you don't understand something, then you will never ever be confident enough to use it in the exam, and ultimately that's where it counts. Then when it comes to revising key widgets of information, flashcards are the way forwards. One way of doing this is what I call the stairs trick. So I put my flashcards up the stairs, one on each step, and then every time I want to go up or down the stairs, I can only go up or down a step if I get the flashcard on that step right. And if you get one wrong, you have to go all the way back to the beginning. This is a really easy way to quickly revise things and incorporate it into your lifestyle so that revision becomes natural and time efficient. Another strategy that I've come across recently is called the spacing method. For the spacing method, all you need to do is set up your flashcards into different piles. So the first pile is every day, the second pile is every other day, the third pile is every week, the fourth is every month, and the fifth is day before the exam. So you start with all of your flashcards in the everyday pile. If you get them right on the first day, then you move them up into the every other day pile. So every time you get them right, you move them up a pile. When you get them wrong, they go all the way back to the beginning. So the things that you don't know, you're revising every single day, and the things that you do know really, really well, you're revising every week or every month. Obviously, you can adjust this depending on how long you have until the exam, but this way you're just focusing most of your attention on the things that you struggle most with rather than wasting time on the things you know like the back of your hand. Another way of using flashcards is these ring sets, which are really easy to carry around, and they just make flicking through your flashcards even quicker. I always have one of these in my bag, so if I'm ever waiting for something or someone, I can just whip it out, go through a few flashcards, and make the most of that 5 minutes I would have wasted just scrolling through social media otherwise. Also, I think it's important to point out that you should change the order of your flashcards every so often so you're not learning a sequence. Moving away from flashcards now, here is another resource that I found crucial last year. So these are basically ring-bound index cards which I use to make mini essay plans on. For example, for my politics AS, I needed to write essays that had 4 paragraphs as well as an introduction and a conclusion. So basically what I do is write down an example essay question at the top of the page and then put 4 bullet points and summarise each paragraph I would want to write into a few words. I then cover up the 4 bullet points, read the question title, and then try and recite the 4 bullet point names. And by summarising a whole paragraph into a few words, it just makes you more likely to remember it, and I always write a little essay plan at the top of my exam paper so I can go back to it, and so that whenever I'm writing I'm focused and I know exactly what I need to write about. I think that psychologically an examiner is more likely to think this is going to be a good, well-structured answer if you've got a little plan at the top of the page. And this method, alongside flashcards with the key examples I wanted to use, actually helped me to get full marks in my politics AS, which I was not expecting at all. So yeah, it's a tried and tested method. Now, I made a whole video about apps that you can use for revision, which I will link up here or up here, one of the two. I'm not really sure how this website works. But something I didn't focus on were web applications, which I've recently discovered. So firstly, there is this app called Self-Control, which is where you can basically blacklist certain websites for a set amount of time. So you can make a list of like Twitter, Facebook, your emails, YouTube, that kind of thing, and block them. So whenever I want to get loads of revision done at home, I will just block all of my social media so I physically cannot access them. Like if you try and type them into Google, it will just come up with a blank page. You can't access it. And this kind of forces you to revise. So if you're someone who gets easily distracted like me, this is perfect. There's also an app called Flux, which basically changes the color grading on your screen before you go to bed. It's basically like the night shift setting on your phone, but for your computer or laptop. Basically, blue light is scientifically proven to keep you awake for longer and keep you alert. That's why all major social networks are blue. When you have some downtime before you go to bed, it's a good idea to switch the red light on, and so then your screen basically has a kind of orangey hue, which helps you get to sleep easier. When you're trying to remember a specific thing, like a quote, for example, I recently saw a video by Unjaded Jade, which I will link down below, which is basically about using objects to help you revise. So if you want to learn a specific quote, basically you look at the object and focus on different points of the object and associate a little tiny bit of that quote with the different parts. You can do this using things that you will have in the exam with you, for example by emptying out your pencil case and relating each different thing to a different quote. Now I was actually doing this unconsciously without realising I was doing it, but I learned quotes using my hands. So for example, for my English mock, I learned this quote about the central antagonist and his capitalist motives using my finger. So profit, progress and enterprise as if they were his private muses. So yeah, that's how you can sort of learn quotes. Her video explains it a lot better, so I'll link it down below. But you could look at your glue stick, for example, and think of the lid as part of the quote, the label as another part, and the bottom as another part of the quote. By doing that and reciting it, when you see that object, you immediately think of the quote. Other ways of revision that I think are really useful are to explain to someone else. So to teach someone else something actually consolidates that knowledge in your own head and makes you realise what you actually don't know about that topic. Also, if there's something that you just can't remember, do something stupid with it. For example, I could never remember that the word diu meant for a long time in Latin. I don't know why, it just would not click. So I wrote it in Sharpie on my arm, and to this day, I will never forget that. I also kept forgetting that the Cuban Missile Crisis was in 1962, so I wrote it on a post-it note and stuck it to my pillow and then slept with it. And I will always remember the time that I slept with the Cuban Missile Crisis, 1962. Other things you can do is to make posters and mind maps. Those are always really useful ways of revising. And then cover up certain bits of the mind map or poster and recite them or write them down. And finally, past papers are absolutely crucial. And if you can't find past papers, because I know a lot of the new A Levels and GCSEs don't have past papers, ask your teacher to give you a question and I guarantee they will happily mark it. So yeah, that is my top revision tips and tricks video. I hope that you enjoyed, I hope it was useful, and I hope that you smash your exams. Don't forget to give this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe for more. I make new videos every Monday. So yeah, as I said, thank you very much for watching, good luck with your exams, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye bye.